Let's get going here. Hello, everybody. A little preview here of what we're going to be looking at here. While you guys are, I'm going to get a couple links up. Peruse these while you wait. Hope everybody's having a good night. All right. There's probably a better way for me to do this, but I don't really know how to do it. So we're working on it, we're learning. It's a miracle that I'm even here, so but yeah, how's everybody doing tonight? Let me know. And while you're waiting, you can also like and subscribe and all those things, and hit the bell, all that kind of stuff. All right, paste. There we go. All right, folks. BMC Comics, hello. Eli, what is up? You guys having a good night? What have you been reading these days? What have you been looking at? Total excellence. That must be Ichthus. So, guys, gals, friends, I have a lot of mini comics, a lot of self-published comics. I've been collecting these ever since I started doing shows around 2008. Probably even before that with stuff that I was buying in college. I guarantee you, I have more cool indie self-published stuff than most people that you're watching on the YouTubes. So I thought, why not show some off? Hopefully you guys dig it, and if you don't, well, let me know. If you do, I can do more of these. These are a pittance, a small number of the ones from my giant collection. I have a couple long boxes full of little strange sized comics like this. So, if it is something you like, I can do more of that. And hey, maybe you'll learn about some new artists that you never heard of before. So I know I like that. And also I just like to do it for inspiration. And then after that, we are going to do some pencils. So I don't usually just pencil on here, but I'll explain that later. Yeah, it's been a minute, Ichthus. Sorry about that. Eli, been reading through the Tyrell stack. Arthur Adams' book from his Kickstarter. I missed that. I really wish I would have picked it up. Art Adams is great. Someday I want to get that kind of... I used to do more detailed hatching back in the day, and I would love to get back to it. The stuff that he does with texture and all that is incredible. Just really amazing, amazing stuff. So, we've got quite a selection here. A few artists in particular. I have these all in different boxes and stuff, so I just grabbed, 3 or 4 different little baggies of comics that I have. They're stored in little baggies because long boxes don't really fit these different sizes as well. So I've been doing independent shows all around the country since 2008, 2009. And man, I've seen a lot of cool comics in all those years doing that. And I've seen a lot of people come and go through the scene too. So some of these folks might not even make comics anymore. I know a couple of them do. Some of them I know don't. And you know who you are. But yeah, I come from this scene, really. I know I've just released the Schlub and everything, and I'm at Image and all that, but I've been self-publishing stuff like this, mini comics, and going to shows that feature this type of work a long time. And that's sort of the world that I have felt the most comfortable with, and the kind of work that I tend to gravitate towards. But I still have quite a bit of a love for the traditional sort of American comic feel and stories. And so I'm always trying to find that happy medium between the two. And one of the things that's always frustrated me, being a creative person in comics, is that there seems to be very little dialogue between the two. And so, I've been on here showing off X-Men comics before, but I also like to look at this stuff, and I wish there was a little more crossover. Honestly, I wish there was a little more crossover between the audiences and the actual creators. Occasionally, you'll get something cool. Like one time, Marvel did and I have these. I should have brought them out. Marvel did a Strange Tales, two issues of Strange Tales that were all like a lot of indie comics artists doing Marvel stories, and that was a really, really cool project. But you don't see that kind of stuff very often. So anyway, that's something I think about quite a bit. Let's see what we got going in the chat. The Goon, Skull Crusher, The Last Ronin. Those are good picks. Everything issue 1. Right, okay. Eli loves talking about comics. Indie stuff is crazy frontier. That's right. Really want to dial in more on the indie scene. You really should, Eli. Maybe we'll get some ideas tonight. Ichthys, do any of these creators have online stores? I'm hoping some of these people do actually have stores and that they actually still sell these books, because a lot of these books are pretty old, the ones I found today. But some of these people definitely do. So let's get into it here. Sorry, guys. It's been one of those days. So I'm sort of catching up right now mentally. All right. Who should we start with tonight? Well, you know what? Let's start with my good friend Reed. So, my friend Reed Saltis, and the reason I want to start with this one is because Reed is a very dear friend of mine, and the first convention I ever went to, indie convention I ever went to, was Alternative Press Expo in San Francisco, and that was probably 2008 or 2009, I think. And I didn't table, I was just attending, and I just kind of want to check it out and see if it was the kind of show I could do. I'd heard it was the best show in the country for indie comics, and so I literally went to that show both days. I stayed the entire day, both days, and I went to every single table in that convention and talked to every single artist that was tabling that year. And I wrote emails to pretty much all of them afterwards to just say thanks for talking to me. If you have any advice, let me know. And there was only 3 people that replied to me, and one of them was Reed Saltis. And the next year I went back and I tabled at the show, and Reed was there, and he had given me lots of great advice. And he's been a great sounding board and a great inspiration to me over the years because his art is fantastic. Reed right now is not doing comics, so I'll get that out of the way right away. So I don't know if he has an online store. I don't know, honestly. He probably still has reedsaltis.com. You could go check it out. But right now he's doing a kind of natural history illustration and teaches at a school, teaching that kind of stuff. And he does projects for museums. He's got one coming up here at the museum of the Field Museum, I believe, or is it Science and Industry? One of the two. But Reed's amazing. You can follow him on Instagram, though. If you look up Reed Saltis on Instagram, you find him. But this is Hell's Dachshunds. So this is just a short mini that he did. And it's just... Reed had a dachshund, I believe. And this trucker is driving his truck along, and he sees these dachshund comes up behind him. And then a bunch of dachshunds start coming up, and they kind of attack his truck. And... they overwhelm his truck and it explodes. Hell's Dachshunds. So it's kind of like Hell's Angels, I guess, but they're a gang of little dogs. The drawings are great, though. Reed has a great sense of light and dark. His spotted blacks are great. And of course, he's a natural history illustrator, so he knows how to draw animals really well. He'd probably be critiquing this right now, saying like, oh, it's not... I didn't quite get the skull shape right or whatever. But this is from 2011, so to give you an idea. So that's Hell's Dachshunds by Reed Saltis. Check that one out if you haven't. Check in with the chat here. Godspeed. Oh, yeah, there you go. Reed is doing well, though. Great guy. Okay, how about we do one of somebody that I don't know personally very well, Sam Alden. I got a couple books here by Sam Alden. Now, Sam Alden is still doing comics, I think... I say that. I don't think anything's come out from Sam since like 2017, maybe. These are old. These are probably... I got these at... another big indie show is SPX in Washington, D.C., well, outside of Washington, D.C. And I tabled at that show one year, maybe in what year was this? 2014, I guess, was the year I went. And Sam was there. I got a little signature here for Tyrell, Sam, 2014. Thank you, Sam, for the little drawing. And this guy, I think this is the year that Sam won 2 Ignatz Awards, which is this sort of award for indie comics, comparable to the Eisners in some ways, but they give it out at that show. If you guys have never checked out, heard of the Ignatz Award, another way to find out about really cool indie artists is to go to just the Ignatz Award website or whatever, which might be part of the SPX website, and it'll give you a list of the past winners. And that's a great place to just start to see who's cool. But anyway, this guy was like, he was a big deal that year. I remember everybody's talking about his stuff, so I did go over and grab a couple of his books. And what's really cool about Sam is that his stuff it looks so effortless, and the storytelling is so... he does so much with just his choices of scene, and lighting, and then he reduces the characters to like the most very basic elements, so there's a lot of gesture here in these drawings of like people riding bikes and stuff, but they're not super, I wouldn't call them detailed. I wouldn't say this book isn't detailed, because the detail is kind of strung out across the whole thing, so it has an even feel. And, it makes sense that now I believe what Sam is doing is he does storyboard art and illustration. And I think he's been working on TV shows like I think he worked on Adventure Time and some other animations. But you can see that Sam has a really good sense of pacing and all that. And what was crazy to me was that when I went to his table, I noticed this, and it's been true over the years. He just has such a varied style. Like he works in color, he works in black and white. Some stuff looks like pencils, some stuff is fully colored, like paints. It's all over the place, and there's you can tell he's having a lot of fun with the medium, and really exploring comics from like everything down to the shape, to the size, to the way that the pen marks on page. Really cool stuff. I'm not going to get into the exact story on that one, but here's another one, the Worm Troll. And this one, checking with the chat here again. Hey, Jeremy. Hey, buddy. With the Worm Troll by Sam Alden. This one is cool because it's all these circular drawings. And again, he finds a great way to make simple drawings, but there's so much line work that gives you a sense of texture and light and dark, but only where it's necessary. It's not extraneous, I would say. And then this circular shape to the pages gives you just a different feel and a different kind of look. And I do wish that more creators, especially on the mainstream side, would just play like this. It's rare that you see someone just commit to a thing, right? Like Sam's like, okay, these will all be circles, right? And you kind of see where you can go with that. One example, I guess, in mainstream would be like Chris Picciello will do that. Like with Nonstop Spider-Man, you have all those angular pages that were going like at these like 45 degrees. And that was really cool. It just kind of gives everything a fresh look. And on the creative side, that helps, I think, just to kind of work out your creative muscles. But then I think on the readership side, it's another aspect that makes the book stand out a little bit and gives you some other thing to think about and look at. So this one's kind of a story about a troll, obviously. And this troll with this nose, all these like worms and stuff coming out, is so gross. Oh my gosh. I was looking at this and I was like, this is so gross. But it's a really cool book, and it's printed on like a watercolor paper in the front. And this is the other cool thing when you go to indie shows and get books, is they're all mostly printing their own stuff and doing it either at home or with commercial printers, but different kinds of commercial printers that give you weird options. But it's cool because you can make those kind of choices, and it feels completely different than this one. There's like a smooth one, there's like a rough one. So that's Sam Alden. I think he has a website, samalden.com. You can see the stuff he's worked on. He did a book called Haunter, which is a little more longer form that I would recommend picking up. It's a silent story, sort of fantasy adventure. Really cool stuff. Eli, simple and effective. Reminds me of Calvin and Hobbes. Yeah, for sure. I can see that. Ichthus likes it. Yep. Yeah. Sam, actually, that's the thing you'll find about a lot of people from the indie comic scene. Most of them end up, if they want to make money, they end up going into the animation world. And the animation world, I think, finds people through that scene, because it's happened to so many people that I know, because I'm pretty sure more than one of these people even on the desk here have done that. Let's go to a guy maybe some of you have heard of, Ben Sears. Ben is an awesome illustrator and comic artist and has a very unique style that is very Ben. Like when you see art by Ben, you're like, that's Ben. And it's definitely evolved over the years, but it still feels like Ben, which is pretty amazing. And I've been going to shows forever, and Ben is one of the few guys that until recently, I would see him at every show. Ben was always out there. This whole time that I've been doing this, Ben's been around, and he's still around. I don't know the last time I saw him at a show, but I haven't done an indie show in a couple of years. So, but this one is Young Shadow, and it's kind of like him doing a superhero comic, and it has this one color. I think he reso printed this, risograph printed. If not, it evokes that. I'm pretty sure it is though. And it's just black and white in one color, and it is so effective. It is so effective because it's working like a gray tone, but it also works as a color to kind of give it some color to it, some character to like what the book's feel is. And it's got this bright yellow, and it's about this sort of Nightwing kind of character that protects this city. And I hope some of this reads okay for you guys. If you're on your phone, you're probably like, what are we looking at here? But another thing that I really enjoy when I look through work that is more towards the independently published, self-published side is that the people are doing everything themselves, and sometimes down to the printing, but even before that, the lettering is another thing. And I love the way Ben does his lettering. It's somewhere between like a Jeffrey Brown and like a Watterson, it's or like maybe like a Charles Schultz, It's got enough character to it that you can tell it's hand drawn, but it still feels very consistent and accomplished. And I really like his little line tails. Instead of drawn in a tail, he's got the little line here. But then it's cool because he does this very sort of what a lot of people would say is normal kind of thing in indie comics, where there's a lot of mid-range shots of characters talking in profile or whatever. I use that a lot. I like that motif. But when he gets to some of the action scenes and some of the bigger parts, he does some cool shifting of the perspective. But here's a fight scene that's pretty rad. It's just so fun. So much, he's doing so much, and he's got these great onomatopoeias. And there's so much volume to his characters. I feel like Ben Sears has got to be a big fan of John Romita Jr., because it's almost like a cartoony version of John Romita Jr. It's got that same kind of chonkiness to it. Ben's stuff is really, really great. So I would definitely recommend him. I've got a bunch of Ben's work, so if you guys like his stuff, I could recommend a couple more, but I guarantee you he probably has a web shop or a big cartel. If you look up Ben Sears or Free Ben Sears on Instagram, he should have a web shop up. And he also does like t-shirts and stuff, and he has a bunch of really cool drawings of superheroes too. He's got, like, I just saw him do a Venom the other day. It was pretty rad. All right, who else is here? Yep. Fanatic when it comes to animation, especially 2D animation. Well, hey, check out some of the shows those guys have worked on. Okay, how about Jack Gross? So Jack Gross, I have no idea what Jack's doing now. Somebody should look up Jack and see. Jack Gross I met at Cake, the Chicago Alternative Comics Expo, which is one of the shows that I help organize here in Chicago. And it's I can't remember when I met Jack. I believe they were sitting right next to Rosemary Valero O'Connell, who some of you might know did that book with Jillian Tamaki. What was it called? Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. Is that what it was called? Anyway, they were sitting right next to each other, and they were like college students. And I open up the book, and I'm just like, "What the heck, man?" I'm like, this is amazing. It was the both of them right there, but right now we're looking at Jack. I was just like, man, they draw like someone who's been drawing for 40 years. There's just such an immediacy, a freedom, a sense of volume and everything, and great sort of characterizations, Like, this stuff is so well cartooned. And the different kind of textures that Jack is pulling off with pencil, basically, with these, you got the grass, you got the water, you got these air bubbles. It's so cool. So yeah, I picked this up and I was just really into it. And I got a couple other ones from Jack. I only think I saw them twice at Cake, and I don't know what they're up to. Looks like you can see them at Cargo. Well, there's a Tumblr address. I kind of thought about getting back on Tumblr. Anyway, that's Jack Gross Near Water. That one was in with some of these. Okay, really quick here is MS Harkness. You've heard me talk about MS before. This was the first book I ever bought from MS. Oh, sorry, I'll check in here before I go on to the next one. There's an actor named Jack Gross. I didn't know that. Yeah, the water is very good, Eli. Thank you, Ichthus. Yeah, so this is the first thing I ever bought from MS. I think I met MS. I'm sure I met MS at Comics. What's it called? Cartoon Crossroad Columbus, which is an awesome show that's in Columbus. Actually, I just found out I'm going to be at that show again this year. So Cartoon Crossroads Columbus, or CXC, is in Columbus, Ohio, and it's going to be in, I believe, September. And I will be there. So you should go to that show if you live in the area. But anyway, I met MS at this show, and she was tabling with this other guy. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die here. Fake. What's his name? Pete Fakey. And they were so awesome and so cool. I really enjoyed everything on their tables, and they were just wonderful to talk to. I got to hang out with them a little bit at that show, and immediately was like, these are cool kids. And so this is Dean Ambrose, Bigfoot Hunter, and it was kind of like the silliest one on her table. MS's other work is a lot of autobio, and her latest book, Desperate Pleasures, is extremely, Time Under Tension is extremely good. Go pick it up. But this was the first one I got from her, and it's about Dean Ambrose looking for a Bigfoot. And Bigfoot comes mountain biking out here on his sick wheels, and they have a little bit of a chase, and this was one of the first things I liked about MS's work, was this kind of breakdown of paneling that she does. And man, there's some cool stuff in her new work with that. So MS does have a web store, and she is awesome. One of my favorite creators working right now. Just a great person and a very great creator that you should all be following. So go check out MS Harkness. All right. Let's do these ones next. So this is my friend, my dear friend, Isabella Rotman. Isabella Rotman is another person I've known from the indie comic scene for a long time. That's kind of how I met her, was at one of the first Cake shows. I was at the show, and I was just like blown away by her work immediately. And she was still in college. Again, it was one of those situations like, oh my gosh, this is what you're doing in college? And, we became friends over the years, and she's just a fantastic creator. Right now, what a lot of people know her for is that she does tarot card decks, which are very beautiful tarot card decks. They're all hand illustrated by her. And if you're into tarot, I would recommend checking out Isabel Rotman tarot decks. She's on Instagram. This Might Hurt, I believe, is what she is on all those. But a lot of her work is sort of, how would you call it? Maybe allegory, fantastical allegory, I guess, personal allegory. She has a series, Burn Your Demons, Run With Your Demons, and what's the new one called? Climb Your Demons, I believe. And they're sort of meditations, I guess I would call them, on personal struggles or personal epiphanies that she's had. And she has a wonderful clean line style. Izzy is one of my favorite illustrators. She actually did my wedding invitations, so I've maybe mentioned her on here before. But this is cool, right? So she printed these herself and bound them herself, and she attached the book closes with these little burned up pieces of paper here, which is so cool. This is the kind of thing, this experience, right? Every time I pull this book out, I kind of have to have this experience with it. Just like any of these indie books that people have put together with their hands, they're so special to own these, honestly, you guys. Like, if you haven't bought a book from somebody who made the book themselves, like with their hands, you really should, because you got to remember that not only did they draw all these pages and scan all these pages, they print all these pages, they folded all these pages, they stapled all these pages, and as someone who has done that too, it's just so cool, man. It's so cool. So, this one's Burn Your Demons. I think this is the first one, and it also has this kind of circular motif we saw with Sam. I'm not sure how much this will focus if I get closer, but you can kind of get a sense for her line work. This is a very delicate little book, so it's kind of hard to see on camera, I'm sure. Lots of nature in her work. Lots of foliage, which is very amazing. Again, hand lettered. Izzy has also done some work that is kind of sex ed type comics about consent and about puberty and those kind of things. So if you have kids that are going through those things, those are great resources. But yeah, it's kind of just like a personal book. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but it's just a personal book. But there's so many cool things that, like right here, all these word balloons of these people howling kind of turn into a shape on the page. And I love stuff like that. You just don't see that enough in other genres of books. So that's Burn Your Demons. And I think that Run With Your Demons was next. And this one's really cool. When I first started talking a lot to Izzy and hanging out with her, I was just struck by she's like a very deep thinker and a very, I would say, in touch person, and all that really comes across in the work. So it's the kind of work that it's a good balance. If you're reading a lot of other stuff that's very intense in a sort of visual and story way, Izzy's stuff is a little bit of a break from that intensity, but more of you can get into some emotional intensity, but in a very safe space of these little books. And really fantastic work. I love the way Izzy cartoons things, especially faces. I love the way she draws hair. But look at all these decisions with the lettering and the word balloons and the shapes, and how the circular shapes, when you remove the borders, start to do different things. It's pretty cool, guys. Pretty cool. And of course we got a wolf here. So that's Isabella Rotman. Another one of my just favorite creators around, and someone who's been in the scene a long time and continues to make quality work all the time. So definitely check out Isabella Rotman's stuff. Yes, her covers are amazing. Yes. Yeah, she did all this herself, and that's kind of where the world I come from. So when I was in college, there's a comic book shop here that's been around all that time since I've been in college too, called Quimby's. And when I got here for school and the teachers told us about Quimby's, I went there with a class or something. I was just blown away. It's a whole bookstore made of books like the ones I'm showing you. It's a comic book store that only sells indie stuff, self-published stuff or small press stuff. And this is a book I bought there. And it's called Robot Investigator, and it's maybe hard to see on camera here, but this is like a kind of a rough recycled kind of paper, but then the robot and some of the shapes here are embossed, so there's like a texture to them, which is pretty cool. So this was probably, and it probably comes from, this is probably a letterpress cover, I would guess. So he probably ran this through a letterpress, and that left some indentions on this softer paper, but it makes a beautiful object that's like so fun to touch and hold. Like, this is the other thing is, like, if you're going to have something in your house, it's got to be special, right? And these little books are special. They're not just something that sits, with a backboard or whatever. So this is by Vincent Stahl. And you know what? I have no idea what this guy's up to anymore either, because I haven't seen anything from him that I can think of. So if anybody knows who Vincent Stahl is, let me know. But this book is really cool. It's all this one kind of color, and it's like a brown, but it's definitely a custom brown, which is another cool thing. Back when I was printing my own books on like offset machine, you can mix your own ink, so you can make it so your comic has an ink that nobody else has, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's about this little robot that comes down to this planet. He takes some pictures, pretty much all silent. Meets this little squirrel guy, this little groundhog. And it's just this robot going around on this planet doing stuff. Who he comes in contact with, there's like this dude here, this old man. But yeah, this one's really cool too. And I've never seen this anywhere else either. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, the print run on this was 243 of 500. So he printed 500 of these. And I bought it at Quimby's in probably 2001, 2002, something like that. So there's some mini comics, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. If y'all want to stick around, I might do a little bit of penciling here. So if anybody's wondering, when I do my 9x12 commissions, I do them on the 300 series Bristol 9x12s. That's not the same stock I work on for pages, but for commissions and for this size, the paper's pretty good. The 300 series I don't like as much when it gets up to the 11 by 17, but anyway, I've probably yacked about that before. So some of my friends are coming to town for C2E2, which is coming up here in a couple weeks. Oh my gosh, a couple weeks. It'll be C2E2. I can't believe it. Anyway, they're coming into town, and we, one of the fun things that I like to do with other artists is do like a pencil and ink exchange where, with a friend, I'll pencil something and they'll pencil something, and then we trade and we ink each other's drawings. It's like a really cool way to learn and sort of see how other people work, and I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. So I need to do something, and we'll see if anything comes out here, but the difference will be is that when as you guys have seen on past streams, when I'm penciling, it's pretty rough before I get to the inks, and I do a lot of decision making with the inks. So I haven't done tight pencils in a long time. So for me to do something that's at least tight enough for someone else to ink will be a little bit of a challenge. So we'll see what I can come up with. First, I need to actually decide who I am drawing. If you guys have ideas, let me know. I'm going to recharge my water here. Oh yeah, water. Okay. All right, who should we draw here? I had been thinking of just doing something that's kind of natural for me, like a Cable or a Venom or a Wolverine or Punisher's pretty easy for me. Characters that I don't have to look up what they look like, I guess is what I'm saying, because I don't feel like doing that right now. Cirrus, yeah, that'd be good. I could draw Cirrus. I haven't drawn him in a minute. I haven't drawn. It's crazy to me. I haven't been drawing. And did I show you guys the trades came? The trade paperback. My comps are here. The Schlub. This is out in the same week of C2E2, so April 24th, I believe. Here it is, guys. The whole thing. Look at that. That's a nice fat volume right there, boys. That is a good one. So this is this looks great. It printed slightly different than the singles, but not in a bad way. It's just a little richer in the blacks, but it looks great. The design of it's really nice. John did a good job on that. We have the covers for each issue, Sans logos at the chapter breaks, and then in the back we do have all of Ryan's covers on here, and then my spread for 6 is here too. And then we also published the old Schlub No More image that was never used. I'll tell you the story behind that someday. Hey, you know what? Actually, we're doing a panel at C2E2. One of my chibis are in there too. We're doing a panel at C2E2 with me and Ryan and Kenny, Ryan Stegman and Kenny Porter. And if you come to that panel, I will tell you the story behind this image. But yeah, pick up your trades. They're out in a couple weeks. If you haven't ordered them already, go get one. Okay, sorry. Well, Cirrus could be fun since the book is coming out. What could Cirrus be doing here? Shoot, man, I haven't drawn Cirrus in months. Let's see. Let me start on a little sketch here. So I kind of just want to draw him standing on the paper, because for the pencil and ink exchanges, it's not nice to make the person do a whole background. You know what I'm saying? Like Dave, one of the guys that is trading, he drew a Violator clown, just kind of looking pretty cool on the page. So Cirrus, we could do him with some battle damage, perhaps. That's my go-to. That's just like the boring go-to pose. We could make him doing something silly, or like throwing a punch here. Maybe I will do something wild here. Let's try. You're gonna be stepping back. Okay. You could be throwing a wacky punch. I've had this wacky punch that I've been trying to do, that I sort of saw in Baki, that I wanted to try to do. That could be cool. Oh, he could be like standing next to Roger, and his cape could be in Roger's face or something. That's 2 characters, but what would that look like? I don't know. That's maybe not what I'm feeling like drawing tonight. Well, what would my cable be? Cable. What's a cable I haven't done in a minute? It could be kind of sideways here. Guns akimbo. That's a weird angle, but that might be kind of fun. I don't know. Like filling up the page with just the character. That might be fun. I kind of wanted to draw Predator, but I can't draw him from memory, really. So sometimes it's nice to... I've been looking at... So the reason I don't want to look anybody up is that the project I'm working on right now, which I can't talk about, is like... it's like tons of reference. So I've just been looking at reference like all day, you know. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to look at reference right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, that's not the muscle. That's the muscle I've been working on all day. So I kind of just want to like draw from the heart here. It's... Yeah, I think I want to fill up the page if I do a cable. So this is always how I start off with like most of my sketches and drawings, is I try to work on them sort of little and then blow them up one way or another, whether that be digitally or just looking back and forth like we're probably going to do tonight. So they're just kind of rough. It's sort of like getting a sense of what a pose could be. I remember I was at C2E2, I think it was last year, and I took a few 6x9, you know, commissions at the show, and I was sitting by my buddy Jim, Jim Terry, who's doing the new Deathstalker comic. Jim's great, and he saw me doing this for this, and I was getting ready to do a 6x9. He's like, "Are you doing all the sketches just for the 6x9?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I admire your your hard work, man." He's like, I'm not gonna do that many sketches for a 6x9. But of course, Jim is probably just a little more gifted than I am to get something down easier. I struggle sometimes to just find that first pose. You know, sometimes I get it right away. I think part of it's that I hate repeating myself, but maybe tonight I'm just gonna repeat myself. I'm kind of liking something that is like at an angle and something like, I like this angle here, but I can't find the... This is cool. Yeah, we're gonna do this, I think, y'all. What if it's that? But we probably want to go the other way. Got to show the metal arm, so Cable is going to face left a little more than usual for me. We'll see if this works. I have no idea. Well, it's somewhere in here. I know he's in here somewhere. Maybe I gotta zoom out a little bit more. Something like that. It's funny, I'm not gonna ink the actual drawing, but I might just try something on here. So sometimes you gotta just kind of, you gotta look around, you know? You sort of gotta look around till you find them. And sometimes you think you found them, but it was just like something else. And you're like, oh. That's a maybe. That's a maybe. Silver Surfer. Yeah, Silver Surfer's awesome. I'm also trying to think who the other people in my group want to draw. And they all know I'm the best at cables, so. I kind of want to just get a little closer to his face, maybe, but. Might be something. If I can just figure out the posture here. Yeah, here we go. I just got an idea. Let's see if I can pan this out. Yeah. Something like that. All right, there we go. Okay, we're gonna try that. We're gonna see what we can do. Nobody probably understands what I just said, but we're gonna see what happens here. Or I will start over. So we're gonna probably have to resort to some old tricks here to pull off a a Tyrell Cannon tight pencils drawing. All right, so the other question is, should I shift this? Should he be going the other way so that we can see the metal arm? Nah, just, well, what does it look like in reverse? No, see, that gun's too big. It's got to be on this side. Okay. Come on now. Don't get stuck. Okay, so lean forward here. Okay, all right. You guys get enough ASMR from the pencils here? We'll figure that out. We'll get there. Character sitting is always hard, but I'm trying to just be like, we'll get there, you know? Sitting is like, yeah, sitting is hard for some reason. It's funny because that's all I do all day, so I should know how it works, right? We're going to give another pass here at these legs. We're going to get this arm popped out a little bit. Oh, they're going to have a fun time trying to put ink down on top of this, man. There's going to be so much graphite on this freaking thing. All right. Okay, so... Okay. Ugh, I've been drawing on my iPad too, like the last 2 days. And it's great and all, like for getting certain kinds of things done. But, man, I just like drawing on paper so much better. This feels so much better. Even though I'm probably going to shred this paper because I'm so indecisive here. So, if he's swirling. But if I can pull it off, it's going to be cool. All right. Drawing is redrawing. That's what they say. Drawing is redrawing. And I have been having a particularly hard time lately, if I'm being honest. Like you go through these phases where everything feels like, yeah, man, I know what I'm doing. And then you go through these phases where it's like, what the heck? When did I not know how to draw anymore? And it's very strange. and it's very frustrating. But you got to ride it out. It's only temporary. Generally, you'll get your mojo back. Yeah, take your time at this phase, man. Like, honestly, the thing that has changed about my work or my working habits over the years is one of them is that I spend way more time in this part, and I try to spend less time on the inks, even though I love doing the inks. I try to do them a little quicker and have this part really be where the good stuff is happening. Because then, even if something doesn't work in some of the final polish, if you've got, a good concept, good shapes, your characters are all sort of looking like real people, you're generally going to have a successful piece. Whereas, if you have a bad layout or a bad concept, all the hatching in the world isn't going to make it good. All the color tricks in the world aren't going to make it good. Sometimes you need those tricks to make it passable, but it doesn't always make them good. Well, that's closer. That's not really the posture that I want. I feel like I wanted him to be more... What is it that I want? Something about his head placement. I thought I had it, and then I was like, no, that's not it. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna draw a little bit on this side. See if we can figure out this pose a little better. I thought it was gonna come with the chunks and I could just kind of fudge it. And maybe I could have, but let's just try again right here and see what we can come up with here. So I'm looking back at my sketch here to see why that felt right and the other one didn't. Maybe I should try to block it instead of noodle it. There's different ways to start constructing, Like sometimes I kind of noodle like this, and then other times you kind of want to have a like build your blocks in there instead. This one kind of has his shoulders a little bit higher actually. And he's sort of looking up, and I kind of liked that. But I also kind of like him looking down and hunched over, so... Decisions. Scumbling, I think is the term. Yeah, interesting. Scrumbling. I always hear it called noodling. I think that's, I can't remember if I got that from How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way or if that was something I heard somewhere else, but noodling. Not the catching catfish kind of noodling. Well, guys, I still haven't quite found it here. That's something there. Okay. Don't get too excited, but okay. So what we're gonna do is similar to what I do with the ink. I think I'm gonna knock these big shapes in with ink, and then maybe we can transfer that and start kind of afresh on the pencils. This is way more work than I guarantee than probably the other guys are going to put into this. Tyrell. He never does anything halfway. For better or worse. Okay. All right, let's see if anything comes out of this here. So I'm cheating. I'm doing pencils by doing some inks. Okay, that might be something. All right, so let's see if we can. Well, let's see. How do I want to do this? Do I want to grab the light box or do I want to use some carbon paper? And I'm going to have to do some erasing, I think. So I can see. All right, we're going to do the light box. So this might, I don't know what this is going to look like on camera. Let's find out. Get some more paper here. And this might be the stopping point for tonight. After I get this done, we'll see how I'm feeling. And this will be good too because I can get it repositioned to the right spot on the paper where I want it. All right. Ooh, look at that, guys. Isn't that weird? Oh boy. How bad is this going to hurt everybody's eyes? Let's see what happens here. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Go quick. I use my light box quite a bit. And my carbon paper for that matter. So those are good tools to have around, I think. I don't always want to, and I can't always just turn the printer on and do it. You know, it all depends on where I'm working and stuff. So, and a lot of times I don't want to have to scan, reprint things just to kind of change little aspects. It's kind of nice to just be able to transfer it real quick, like we're doing here. All right, I don't know. We'll see. Guys, I might still be in a funk here, but we'll see what we can do with this. What am I doing here? What am I doing here, guys? Those shoulder pads are just too small. They're too small. That's right, Eli. You got it. You got it. It's all about percentages. Still feeling kind of noodly over here, so I'm just going to ride with it. It's going to be really hard not to ink this. I'm going to have to... I think I'm going to have to do my blue pencil trick. The old Jim Lee move where you kind of go over this with blue pencil, then you can erase the graphite and then get your details in there. Try and catch some of the indie shows. Yeah, you should, Eli. Emerald City Comic Con is a great show to go to. I've never done Baltimore. I think I've heard that one's pretty good. There's actually a good indie show in Seattle. It's just a one-day only show, but it's called Short Run, I believe, and that's a really cool show. I've never done it, but I've heard. I mean, everyone who does indie stuff, that's like everybody does that show. It's a really cool show, and I've known some of the past organizers, and they were all very cool. So I can vouch for that one being good. Okay. All right, I'm about at my hard out here, guys, where I need to stop working for the day. And I didn't get as far as I wanted to on this, but that's okay. It'll give me something to work on when I need a break from the iPad. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of just maybe do a little touch-ups with the eraser here and kind of see where I go from here next time I sit down with it. I encourage everyone to check out some of those artists that I mentioned earlier in the stream. Go back and listen to it if you haven't. A reminder, I will be at C2E2 next week, 2 weeks from now. I'll be in Artist Alley, table VO2, I believe, with my buddy Landis. And there will be a Schlub panel. I think it's on Saturday. So yeah, man, I hope some of you folks can come on down for the show. If you can't, I will also be at CXC in Columbus, which is going to be in September, and I'm hoping to have another show announced very soon. Cough Heroes, cough, cough. I'm hoping that I can get some of that information figured out soon. So yeah, I hope to see some of you guys at the shows. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I do have to go now, so I will talk to you guys next time.